Hello, boys and girls. I'm so happy we get to do math today. Let's get started with our math lesson today. So our objective is patterns. We've already done one lesson, but we are going to add on to everything you learned already. So our objective is we can identify, describe, extend, create, and transfer growing and repeating patterns. That's a lot, but don't worry about that. But today, this is first standard 1.14 with our Virginia SOLs. So let's watch this short video about patterns to get us started.
Patterns for kids. Buzz with B. Patterns are arrangements of things that repeat in a logical way. It tells us how things fit together. Patterns can be found everywhere, in nature, in music. You may even be wearing a pattern. Let's have a look at some ways we can create our own simple patterns. This pattern goes button, peg, button, peg, button, peg. This pattern has two items repeating, so we would call this an A-B pattern. The buttons would be A and the pegs would be B. What item would come next? Yes, that's right, a button. The reason why we call it an A-B pattern is because this is the core of the pattern. The AB keeps repeating itself. AB, AB, AB. This pattern has three different items: fork, spoon, and mug. Because it has three different objects repeating, we would call this an ABC pattern. The fork would be A, the spoon would be B, and the mug would be C. Again, for this pattern, the core is the fork, spoon, and mug, or ABC, which will continue to repeat itself. ABC, ABC. Let's have a look at what would happen to this pattern if we made a few changes. Let's take away the mugs and put spoons in their place. The spoons are B's, so this would turn the pattern into an ABB pattern that is repeating instead. Leaf, leaf, shell, leaf, leaf, shell. Can you tell me what the next two objects in this pattern are? Great, it would go leaf, leaf. Do you think you could name this type of pattern? Yes, it's an AAB pattern. The leaves are A and the shells are B. This is a delicious pattern. Can you tell me what two items will come next? Yes, that's right. Donut and cupcake. Can you name this type of pattern? It's an ABC pattern. Well done. Now it's your turn to have a go at making your pattern. Find a group.
So just like in the video, she talked about the core of the pattern. The core is the part of the pattern that repeats over and over again. That's the part that tells us what's in this pattern and what is going to be repeating. So let's look at this pattern below. This might look familiar. Button. In the video, she called it a peg, but I'm going to call it a clip because that's what I've always called it. So button, clip, button, clip, button, clip. What's the core of this pattern? Think about it. What are the things in this that are repeating? Button, clip. Good work. I like how you thought that through. So another important word we've talked a lot about is pattern. We are going to learn two types of patterns. We are going to learn a repeating pattern and growing pattern. But today, We're focusing on repeating patterns. This one right here, repeating patterns. Just like how in this pattern on the vocabulary card is circle, square, circle, square, circle, square, circle. We know that the core is circle, square, and it is repeating over and over again. So let's look at this pattern again. Here's the directions. Look at the pattern below. Can you extend the pattern? What would the next 3 objects be? Remember, that word extend, that was in our objective. It's in the standard too. That means we need to keep that pattern growing. Extend the pattern. So here it is. Look at the pattern. We know that it is button, clip, button, clip, button, clip. What do you think? What would the next 3 objects be? Button, clip, button. Very good. It's just like the pattern and the core. We already knew the core of this pattern, and we can continue and extend the pattern to continue on. We could even keep going on and on more than 3 if we wanted to. So let's talk about another part of this. We've already talked about repeating patterns and extending patterns, but let's talk about transfer, transferring a repeating pattern. Look at this pattern below. This is a pattern with sounds that you can make with your body. So we can snap, high five, clap. Snap, high five, clap. That's a pattern. We're doing the same 3 things, snap, high five, clap, over and over and over again. But we can also represent this same pattern in a different way. We can represent this with letters if we wanted to. We can represent it with A, B, C. A, B, C. So we know that it's the same 3 things repeating over and over again. So that's just called to transfer a pattern. But I like to make things a little silly, so it always reminds me of Transformers, because it can transform into a robot, to a car, to whatever all the other things it can transform into. Just like patterns, you can transfer or transform a pattern into a different pattern or a different representation of that pattern. So to transfer a pattern is to represent it a different way. It's crazy, mind blown. Every time. It's just crazy, but you can do it. So check out this pattern. Triangle, circle, heart. Triangle, circle, heart. Triangle, circle, heart. What is the core of this pattern? Very good. We know that the core is triangle, circle, heart. In this repeating pattern, we know that the core repeats over and over again. Triangle, circle, heart. Let's extend this pattern. What would the next 3 shapes be? We know the core is triangle, circle, heart. Triangle, circle, heart. Triangle, circle, heart. What comes next? Triangle, circle, heart. Awesome. So now let's try that new skill we learned. Transfer, remember, like a transformer, transfer this pattern using letters. So instead of using these shapes, we're going to use letters to make the same pattern. There's that transformer reminding us. So instead of triangle, we can say A. Instead of circle, we can use B. Instead of heart, we can say C. And we can keep this pattern going because we know a repeating pattern has the core repeat over and over again. So we can say A, B, C, A, B, C, A, B, C. You did it. You transformed this into a different pattern. You transferred this pattern using letters. Good job. Okay, let's check out this pattern below. Cupcake, basketball, cat, cat. Cupcake, basketball, cat, cat. What's the core of this pattern? Good work. Yes, the core is cupcake, basketball, cat, cat. We know that it's repeating again. So let's look at this pattern. We just saw it. Cupcake, basketball, cat, cat. Let's transfer this pattern using numbers. So instead of using letters like we did before, we can use numbers to represent it a different way, to transfer this pattern using numbers. So the cupcake can be 1, the basketball 2, cat 3. Oh, look, we have 2 cats in this pattern. So that means we would have 2 3s. The 3 represents a cat in our pattern. 1, 2, 3, 3. Let's keep going. 1, 2, 3, 3. Good work. You made this pattern using numbers. You transferred the pattern. That's amazing. All right, look at the pattern below. Transfer the pattern using different shapes. Oh, so last time we used numbers to transform and transfer this shapes or the pattern. We've already used letters to transfer the pattern. Now let's use shapes. So instead of saying cupcake, oh, there's the core again. We know that. So instead of saying cupcake, we can say rectangle. Instead of basketball, we can use a heart. Instead of a cat, we can use happy face. And we know that we're using a happy face for a cat, and we need 2 of those. So we can continue our pattern. Rectangle, heart, happy face, happy face. We transferred the pattern just with a different way. So look what we did today. We did this. We can identify, describe, extend, create. Make sure you're practicing making patterns at home and transferring repeating patterns. Next time, we're going to practice and learn about growing patterns, so stay tuned for that. Once you complete this lesson, you can add 30 minutes to your math attendance for your participation, so awesome work. Here is some more optional practice too. IXL has some questions to practice extending and making patterns. These are just questions to practice understanding what questions are asking you with patterns. This is not a replacement for hands-on making patterns and talking about them. And then the other one is to do that. Make, extend, and transfer patterns. Challenge your learning coach and to transfer each other's patterns and see how creative you can get. I'll see you next time. Bye.